Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be focusing on those born on January 12th. We're going to be really trying to unpack what makes them tick. And to help us with this, we have an excerpt from Pasted Text, which, as you know, takes a pretty unique look at, birthdays and all that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach. And I have to say, January 12th, right out of the gate, it's a date that really jumped out at me.
Right. The excerpt doesn't waste any time calling it the day of the wild call. So I got to ask, what exactly is a wild call?
Well, it seems to be about like a deep pull towards a certain kind of professional life. Not just any career, though, more like a true calling.
Almost like a destiny they're meant to uncover. And when does this usually reveal itself?
Often in their 20s, according to Pasted Text, it's less about ambition and more about finding that thing that truly resonates with their soul.
I can see how that would be a driving force in their lives.
Hmm.
But the excerpt also mentioned some potential, downsides to this whole all-in approach, right?
Definitely. It talks about the risk of neglecting personal growth. Like, they might be so focused on this big purpose that their own needs, or even the needs of people around them, kind of fall by the wayside.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've known people who are incredibly dedicated to their work but their personal lives.
Mm.
Let's just say they struggle to find a balance.
Right, and Pasted Text takes it even further, suggesting that if they pursue the wrong path, it could actually lead to, harm to themselves or even others.
Wow, that's a pretty intense thought. It makes you realize how important self-awareness is, especially for those born on January 12th.
Absolutely. They need to be really sure that their wild call, this passion, is coming from a genuine place. Are they serving something bigger than themselves or just feeding their ego?
Those are big questions. But maybe they're the kind of questions that January 12th folks are uniquely equipped to handle, right? I mean, they're supposedly quite introspective.
Definitely something Pasted Text highlights. They can be quite, well, talkative, even garrulous at times.
Okay, so that's interesting because we have these individuals who are drawn to these potentially all-consuming careers, but they're also really good at, talking, connecting with people. How does that side of them fit in?
Well, it makes me think that they have this deep need to share their passions, to connect with others on an intellectual level. And maybe through those conversations, those back and forths, they're able to really hone in on their true purpose, make sure they're on the right track and all. Though Pasted Text does warn about this too.
Oh, so
Well, even with their natural charisma and way with words, it's still about finding that balance.
makes sense. You can have too much of a good thing, as they say. But hold on, we were talking about how Pasted Text mentioned them being drawn to very specific professions, right? Like niche fields even,
Yes.
which seems a bit at odds with, maybe being the life of the party, always talking and everything.
Right, but maybe it's about finding that sweet spot. They might be, social butterflies, but they're also the ones who can get lost in thought, completely absorbed in whatever topic has piqued their interest. It's about, well, harnessing that energy without, overwhelming others.
Like they can turn down the volume when they need to, be more understated.
Exactly. It's about, letting the work speak for itself. Sometimes the quietest voice makes the biggest impact.
Ooh, I like that. It reminds me of that saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. And that actually seems to connect to another point about January 12th folks, their unique way of seeing the world.
Oh, absolutely. And Pasted Text takes it a step further, bringing in the tarot of all things, specifically the Hanged Man card.
Right. Which, now that you mention it, is traditionally linked to the number 12. What's that all about?
Well, the Hanged Man is often shown upside down, right? Symbolizing a shift in perspective, seeing things from a whole new angle, which can be a real gift, but also, a bit of a curse at times.
Oh, I totally see that. Like, you're so used to seeing things your own way, you might miss what other people are seeing.
Yeah, it's that classic double-edged sword, being ahead of the curve, but maybe also out of sync with everyone else. The trick is finding that balance, being open to different viewpoints.
Which brings us to another interesting tidbit from Pasted Text, this whole Jupiter and Saturn thing. Apparently, those two planets have a big influence on January 12th personalities.
Yeah, and that might explain some of that inner push and pull they experience. Jupiter, all about expansion, enthusiasm, it's probably what fuels their passions. But then you've got Saturn, planet of discipline, structure, which might be what keeps them grounded, especially when it comes to, their personal lives.
Fascinating. It's like Jupiter's the gas pedal and Saturn's the brakes, right?
Yeah.
They need both to really thrive. And speaking of thriving, Pasted Text also talks about the importance of finding a partner who gets them, who can handle all that intensity.
Someone who can appreciate their drive, but also encourages them to, slow down sometimes. Finding that balance is key, especially for their well-being, which Paster Text also touches on.
Because it's easy to forget about taking care of yourself when you're so focused on your goals, right?
Exactly, burning the candle at both ends and all that. Pasted Text specifically mentions things like regular checkups, a balanced diet, even just moderate exercise. Easy to overlook when you're, changing the world.
Absolutely. So to sum it up, we're talking about people with incredible drive, a unique perspective,
Yeah.
and a deep need to make their mark on the world.
But as we've been saying, it's not always easy being so driven, so they need to be mindful of the potential downsides.
Absolutely. It's about finding that sweet spot between passion and, well, just taking care of yourself. But there's one more thing I wanted to touch on, something that Pasted Text didn't explicitly mention, but I think it's connected, this whole idea of creativity.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Well, we've been talking about their intensity, their unique way of seeing things.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if that translates into creative pursuits.
I see where you're going with this, because creativity often comes from that friction between, structure and chaos, logic and intuition.
Exactly. And with January 12th, folks, that Jupiter-Saturn combo we talked about,
Right.
it seems like a recipe for creative energy.
It's like their whole life becomes a form of self-expression.
Right. They're constantly pushing those boundaries, trying new things, going against the grain.
And that's what makes this whole exploration so fascinating, isn't it? Those born on January 12th, they really have the potential to make a splash, to live lives full of purpose, passion, and, see the world in a way that most people don't.
Definitely. But we've got to be real. It's not always going to be smooth sailing, right? There are going to be bumps in the road, wrong turns, moments of doubt.
Absolutely. And that's where Pasted Text really hits home, I think. It's all about embracing the whole journey. The good, the bad, the unexpected detours. It all adds up to something meaningful.
So to anyone out there listening who happens to be born on January 12th, think about how this resonates with you. How do you answer that wild call without, losing sight of yourself, your needs?
Exactly. And how do you hold on to that unique way of seeing things while still being open to other perspectives? It's something to really think about, maybe even write about.
Ooh, journaling.
Sure.
That's a great idea. It could be a way to, keep track of your thoughts, work through those tougher moments.
It's about really taking charge of your own journey, shaping it in a way that feels right for you.
Love that. And hey, don't be afraid to reach out to others along the way. Find a mentor, someone you trust, and bounce ideas off of them.
Because it's through those connections, those real conversations, that we truly grow.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, there you have it, our deep dive into the fascinating world of those born on January 12th. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We've explored their strengths, those potential challenges, and really tried to understand what makes them tick.
But remember, this is just the starting point. Now it's up to you to take these insights and see how they fit into your own life. Keep asking questions, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep embracing that unique path that's unfolding in front of you. Until next time.